Shabbat Shalom, Zion. Got a lot of exciting things happening around us. I mean, some really exciting things. So like a thief in the night, many of our people are totally unprepared in what's getting ready to happen, Zion. And this thing is going to happen. It's going to happen hard. And like I always say, when the Most High drops that hammer is going to drop. And so many things taking place, they can't even fit everything in the news media. And you really think that they want you to know all the stuff that's really going on behind the scenes? Of course not. They're not going to put that stuff in the news. And even certain channels that put all that stuff out, the heathens channels, trying to get you to buy their bug out bags and what have you, trying to put out what is going to happen. They don't even know what's going to happen. But the Most High's people have been warned. We have been warned that this time is coming and it's right upon us. And you know, I've seen some of your comments, and a lot of you are saying, man, I wish the Most High would hurry up and come. But let me tell you something, saints. You may not want to wish that, because we better be thanking the Most High that we have this little time to get ourselves together. I'm telling you, you don't want to be caught with your pants down when the Most High comes back. And so he's giving us this time. We must work while it's still day, while we still can, because we have a lot of work to do, Zion, on ourselves. And nobody's perfect. I'm not claiming to be perfect. And I know you are not claiming to be perfect. And all I'm saying is that we have a lot of work to do as far as loving our own people, because we still have a lot of Christianity on the brain. We have been destroyed as a people, and many of us are just now waking up. So we're in a very rough situation, Zion. We don't have a nation, whereas we are a scattered people. And so we're taking bits and pieces of what we have, of what the heathens have hidden from us, and trying to put it together through the Most High's word. So as we're growing in the Most High, we're growing in knowledge. And the Most High is giving us that knowledge at a very rapid pace. And I know some of you don't like to be alone. You can't stand to be alone, but you're not alone. I'm not saying there's nothing wrong with congregating or anything like that, but be careful. Test the spirits. And honestly, you're better off not joining anything, but just trusting in the Most High and studying his word, because it's just so much folly going on right now. And, we cannot afford to put our trust in man. Your best thing to do is, if it's just you and your family members, you and your kids, whoever, that's your church. That is your congregation. And you worship the Father in truth and in spirit. All right, so if you got your Bibles, go ahead and turn to 1 Thessalonians chapter 5. And let's look at verses 2 through 5. 1 Thessalonians chapter 5, and start with verse 2. It says, "For yourselves know perfectly that the day of YAHUAH so comes as a thief in the night. For when they shall say peace and safety, then sudden destruction comes upon them, as travail come upon a woman with child, and they shall not escape." So I'm going to stop right there for a minute. So it says peace and safety. And then you go up a verse, it says, YAHUAH will come as a thief in the night. Now, why will his coming be as a thief in the night? And that's what we're going to be talking about in this lesson, because I want to bring out some very vital points. And see, when you look at the world all around us, everybody is living like they're going to be here for another 100 or a couple of 100 years. But see, that's the norm. That's what they portray to our people, because see, they don't want you to know what's getting ready to happen. All this stuff that's going on behind the scenes that they refuse to put in the news media, keep top secret, or share with anybody. That's the kind of pieces that the Most High is putting together behind the scenes, that's bringing us even closer to his coming. And I'm telling you, Zion, there's some crazy heavy stuff that is going on that we're going to be bringing out. All right, let's jump down to verse 4. It says, "But ye, brethren, are not in darkness, that the day should overtake you as a thief. Ye are all the children of light and the children of the day. We are not of the night, nor of the dark." In other words, as awakened Israelites, we're practicing our heritage in the Most High. We would not take part in any worldly activities or be involved in this world or take part of this world, because the Most High has given us a distinct flavor about ourselves. He has set us apart from all other nations. And I've said that time after time. You can go back and watch the previous videos. All right. But we're past that. We're ready to move to the next stage, and that is preparing for his coming. But in order to do that, we have to prepare ourselves. We have to consecrate our souls in HaMashiach. We have to work out our salvation with fear and trembling. And how are we going to do that? By continually praying and studying his word. And it all starts with the thought processes as well too. We got to train our minds, brothers and sisters, to think righteously. We got to train our minds to do that constantly, every day. We got to train our minds. Let me prove it to you. All right, so let's go to 2 Corinthians chapter 10, and let's look at 3 through 5. It says, "For though we walk in the flesh, we do not war after the flesh." And brothers and sisters, I will be the first to admit this flesh ain't no joke. And that's why we're constantly at war with our flesh. And until the Most High comes and gives us new bodies, we're going to be warring with this flesh. Verse 4, "For the weapons of our warfare are not carnal, but mighty through YAH to the pulling down of strongholds." Now, this is one I want you to really see. Verse 5. It says, "Casting down imaginations." Casting down imaginations. When do we start to sin? When we start to think about it, we start to gravitate towards that. Sin is like a magnet. And the more we think about it, the more we gravitate towards it. And that's why we must constantly put scriptures in our minds. Psalms 119:11 says, "For I have hidden thy word in my heart that I might not sin against you." And you can write that down. There's a lot of scriptures I'm going to probably quote, and you just need to write them down and go back and read over those. That was Psalms 119:11. But verse 5, "Casting down imaginations and every high thing that exalts itself against the knowledge of YAH, and bringing into captivity every thought," says every thought, "to the obedience of Mashiach." And I'm going to tell you something, saints, that is not easy. I'm not going to sit here and lie to you that's easy. That's why we have to practice it. We have to constantly rehearse that. We have to rehearse our thoughts. And yes, there's going to be times where you're going to have some negative, crazy thoughts. You know, some are going to be sexual, some are going to be other thoughts, addiction thoughts. And this is why we're warring with the flesh. And this is why we constantly have to rehearse the scriptures in our minds. Because when we start doing that, we start ridding all these evils of our mind and our souls. So that's where we're at right now. And another one you can write down is Philippians chapter 4 and verse 8. You know, whatsoever things are good, whatsoever things are pure, whatsoever things are lovely, think on these things. And then you got Nahum 1:9. What do you imagine against YAHUAH? And so, and this is what I'm talking about. You know, we gotta dig in, brothers and sisters, because we're not gonna always have everybody to show us this stuff, and we're not gonna always have each other to depend upon. And so that's why, you know, we're doing this now. We're working while it's day, and we're getting all this scriptures, getting all this knowledge while we can, because I'm telling you, there's going to come a time where we're going to have to shelter in place. You know, I was deployed when I was in the military. I was deployed several times, and you know, my first deployment was Iraq. And most of you probably who've been in the military, you've been deployed, you know exactly where I'm going with this. And so anytime we had incoming missiles, there would be a siren, and over the loudspeaker, shelter in place. So we had to find the closest bunker to get to. Now, we had like little anti-missiles to counter-strike the missiles that were coming in from outside the FOBs. But sometimes those missiles didn't always catch those mortar rounds coming in, and we've had several deaths that happened as a result of that. So, but the point I'm making was the shelter in place. We had to stay in place, and there's going to come a time, brothers and sisters, that we're not going to be able to move about like we are now. We're going to have to shelter in place. We're going to have to start preparing ourselves. But we're going to talk a little bit more about that a little later. Let's go ahead and talk about a few current events that are taking place right now. So most of you all are tracking what's going on with the U.S. and Iran. And it's funny because I remember even as a kid growing up, there's always been tensions with Iran and the U.S. And most of it had to deal with the nuclear arms deal and oil. The heathens' liquid gold. So the tensions have been really growing over there. And we've never seen it like this before. I mean, this is the most tense that it's ever been in the history that they've been dealing with one another. So there was an article that came out on the 17th of May, and it says, "Is the United States heading for war with Iran?" Now, this has been ongoing for a long time now, but like I said, it's really gotten tense over the years. And, it's interesting how all this is playing out, and I just want to read this little article here. It says, "The first, which is favored by U.S. President Donald Trump's administration, is that Iran is up to no good. Preparations are said to have been seen for a potential attack on U.S. targets, though few details have been revealed publicly. The U.S. has moved reinforcements to the region. It is reducing its non-essential diplomatic personnel in Iraq, and it is reportedly dusting off warplanes." Y'all hear that? Dusting off warplanes. So they're getting ready for something. And all this training they've been doing, it wasn't in vain. It wasn't for nothing. And now the U.S. is threatening Iran that any attack on U.S. equipment will be met with significant military response. And like I said before, this has been going back and forth for many, many years now. But this is the most intense that it has gotten. And, I'm going to tell you something, Zion. Contrary to popular belief, these world leaders do not want to go to war. They do not want to go to war. And I'm going to tell you why. Because this whole money writing system that they're doing, it's beneficial to them. And they don't want to give that up. They don't want to give this kingdom up. But they are being forced into a situation that they have no control over. See, the Most High said in his word that he's going to bring the forces together. He's going to bring the nations together to battle. And see, the good thing about this is that the Most High is the orchestrator of all of this. So these nations are being forced into a situation that they cannot back out of. There's no turning back from this. They can't. And if you all been paying attention lately, we've been having some mighty intense trade wars going on between U.S. and China. And China's been throwing some serious hard tariffs, all over the place. And so these trade wars are going back and forth, back and forth. And see, that's the same thing that happened right before Pearl Harbor. Japan, when they had that emperor, I forgot the guy's name, but they bombed Pearl Harbor because it was over trade wars that was going on with oil. It was oil, that liquid gold. And that thing got intense, and that's what started Pearl Harbor. So I'm telling you, Zion, it's like we're repeating it, and this time it's going to be worldwide. It's going to be full world scale. And the forces are already lined up. Why do you think these countries been doing all these military drills and trainings all these years? They wasn't doing it just to be doing it. They were getting ready. They're getting ready for something. And I'm telling you, the Most High is going to turn this thing loose. Now, I'm not saying that World War III is going to break out tomorrow, next week, or this year. I'm not saying that. But what I am saying is that we're in a time that's so sensitive that anything can pop off. And that if they decide to go nuclear, I know without a shadow of a doubt that the Most High will gather his people before they go nuclear. Because if they go nuclear, I mean, we're going to all be destroyed. And the Most High promised in his word that he will gather us and take us to a safe place. And he's going to let these heathens rip. He's going to let these heathen nations rip. And it's going to be outright full war. So all the moving pieces are happening, Zion. And like I said, we don't know when all this is going to take place. But know this, I truly believe that we are much closer than we even realize. And I'm not telling you should go build your little bunkers and what have you and stockpile 10 years of food. But it would not hurt us to store away a little something, and just be prepared. Because things are happening so fast and so rapidly, they're not putting all this stuff in the news. There's certain things that they're putting in the news, but the most of it, they're keeping out. The Bible says that there will be spiritual wickedness in high places. And these leaders know exactly what they're doing. But one thing they don't want to do is go to war. They don't want this world to end. I'm telling you, Zion, they don't want it to end because they love their kingdom. This is their kingdom. But the Most High is the one who's forcing their hand. He's putting these nations in situations that they cannot even back down from. It's impossible. There's no turning back. And see, Zion, this is why we need to be alert and aware so that we're not caught when the Most High comes back like a thief in the night. Because we are the children of the Most High, so we know what's getting ready to happen. It's interesting. When I was in Tennessee, when I was going to this college, I was doing my undergrad. And I used to work at this grocery store called Piggly Wiggly. And that part of Tennessee, it never snows, We never get any snow. And I never forget, it was in March. And the newscaster was saying that it's a possibility we may get like 3 feet of snow. So everybody kind of brushed it off. It didn't do anything for that whole day. So people just, went about their business. And around 6 o'clock, it started snowing, and it started snowing hard. Next thing you know, these heathens came. They just bum rushed us. Came into Piggly Wiggly. They were grabbing everything from milk to bread. It was chaos. And I've never seen anything like it. And if they act like that, just over a little snowstorm, just imagine something like this breaks or some kind of catastrophe breaks, they would go crazy. And that's why, Zion, we don't need, when this thing hits the fan, we don't need to be out there with these heathens trying to do this and that, And there's nothing worse than being around panicking people. Just going crazy. Because nobody's really paying attention to this stuff. Not even our own people, majority of them. You tell them stuff like this, they'll look at you like you're crazy. Yeah, but they can tell you the next episode on the reality TV shows. They can tell you the latest fashions on Facebook and all the latest styles. They can tell you all that stuff. They can tell you the latest information about the celebrities and what have you. But see, that's why this thing is serious, Zion. And a lot of our people are going to be caught with their pants down. It's going to be too late. They're going to be swept away. All right, let's go to Joel chapter 3 and look at verses 1 and 2. It says, "For behold, in those days and in that time, when I shall bring again the captivity of Judah and Jerusalem," is talking about the southern and northern tribes. Judah being the southern and Jerusalem being the northern. It says, "I will also gather all nations and will bring them down into the valley of Jehoshaphat, and will plead with them there for my people and for my heritage Israel, whom they have scattered among the nations." Are we not a scattered people, brothers and sisters? "And parted my land." So we are a scattered people, and the Most High is turning our captivity right before our very eyes. And so as we're seeing all of these miracles and signs taking place, and we can be here all day, brothers and sisters, talking about the things that are going on. But there's been some crazy, strange phenomena going on. And CERN is one of them. And I'm telling you, there's some crazy stuff that they're doing with CERN, these scientists. They're trying to open up this veil when the Most High meant it to stay closed. There is a reason why this veil is closed. And they're getting ready to unleash something they're going to wish they've never unleashed. So you tampering with some crazy stuff, the Most High is going to put it on you. You know, and it's funny. These heathens going out there building their so-called Doomsday Bunkers. Where they going to hide? What are they going to do when this whole thing happens? They can't hide. They ain't got nowhere they can hide. You know, they spending all this money to build this stuff. And the money, it's not going to be worth anything. And I'm going to tell you something, Zion. The money that we have right now, this current currency, is worthless. It is worthless. We are printing money out of thin air. It's not even worth 1 cent. And that's why the Bible says that these people are going to throw their money to the bats. I mean, that's how worthless it's going to be. And it's coming. We're about to see it. And I told you, and I did a video on the mindset of the enemy. When you take away their God, which is their money, you take away the heathen's money, that's it. Zippo. They ain't got nothing. That's because that's their foundation, Zion. That is their only foundation is money. It takes money to get stuff. So they worship money. So, you know, and I don't know what it's going to take for us to understand that. But see, and I see the writing on the wall because the Most High is getting ready to snatch that from them. And when they don't have that money, they through. That's it. They're done. But they really believe that their money is going to buy their safety. It's going to buy anything they want. Their freedom. It's not going to happen, Zion. Punishment is coming. And they cannot escape it. Now let me show you something, because these folks think they can hide in their little bunkers, that they're going to be safe in their so-called Doomsday Bunker. Go to Amos chapter 9 and verse 3. And it says, "And though they hide themselves in the top of Carmel, I will search and take them out thence. And though they be hid from my sight in the bottom of the sea, thence will I command the serpent, and he shall bite them." You know, the Most High has creatures in the seas that we've never seen before, brothers and sisters. I mean, some stuff that's been at the bottom of the ocean that man cannot tell you about. You know, and some of them know that stuff is down there, but the Most High got some weapons that we ain't even seen before at the bottom of the sea. And let's go to Psalms. Psalms chapter 104 and verses 25 through 26. It says, "So is this great and wide sea, wherein are things creeping innumerable, both small and great beasts. There go the ships. There is the Leviathan, whom thou hast made to play therein." I'm telling you, the Most High got some stuff, y'all. Got some stuff for these heathens. And let's go to Isaiah chapter 2 and verse 19 and 20. It says, "And they shall go into the holes of the rocks and into the caves of the earth for the fear of Elohim and for the glory of his majesty, when he ariseth to shake terribly the earth. In that day a man shall cast his idols of silver and his idols of gold, which they have made, each one for himself to worship, to the moles and to the bats." And that money ain't going to be no good. They're going to throw that stuff away. And let's go to Revelation chapter 6, 15 through 16. "And the kings of the earth, and the great men, and the rich men, and the chief captains, and the mighty men, and every bondman and every free man hid themselves in the dens and in the clefts of the rocks of the mountains, and said to the mountains and rocks, Fall on us, and hide us from the face of him that sitteth on the throne, and from the wrath of the Lamb." They're going to see that black face. They're going to become so scared, they're going to think it's Satan. I'm telling y'all. Well, them heathens going to be like, There's a nigger in the sky. There's a nigger in the sky. And they're not going to know what to do with themselves. They're going to be running to and fro, scared out of their minds. And see, Zion, and I know it's rough right now. I know this is no easy walk. And we got to hang in there, endure, and, we may say, well, we're not ready right now. We're not ready. It's going to come a time, Zion. That's why we need to work while we have this little bit of time, because there's going to come a time where this thing is going to hit the fan and the Most High is going to come back for his people. So when are we going to ever be ready? We can fast forward 10 years from now and be like, we're still not ready. We're still not ready. We're never going to get to a point where we're all going to be always ready, Zion. I mean, let's just face it. Many of our people are not going to make it. Were the children of Israel ready to leave Egypt? No, they weren't ready, because had they been ready, they wouldn't have wandered for 40 years in the wilderness. But the Most High, in his grace and mercy to take them out of their bondage, cut the time short, and he took them out of Egypt. And he's going to do the same thing for us. And that's the whole purpose of the wilderness, brothers and sisters. This is right. What we're going through right now is a trying time, yes. And this is the time to work out our salvation with fear and trembling. But when the Most High gathers us in the wilderness, he's going to have us pass under the rod. And that's when we really got to get our acts together. Well, we got to get it together now. But I'm saying there's going to come a time where the Most High is just going to come. It ain't going to be no too soon or too late. It's going to be on time. So, we can keep saying, well, we'll never be ready. We'll never be ready. We can be saying that for the next 50 years. We'll never be ready. We'll never be ready. Something has to break, Zion. This world cannot continue to go on the way it is. Something has to break. Something has to give. And when we're talking about prophecies being fulfilled, I'm telling you, the Most High is going to speed things up so fast and so quickly. It's like her plagues are going to come in 1 hour. So let's look at Revelation chapter 18 and verse 8. And it says, therefore shall her plagues come in 1 day, death and mourning and famine, and she shall be utterly burned with fire, for strong is Elohim who judgeth her. So these nations where we scattered from are going to get tormented. They're going to get the judgment. They're going to get the hammer. And it's not going to be a pretty sight. All right, same chapter. Let's go to verse 10. It says, standing afar off for the fear of her torment, saying, alas, alas, that great city Babylon, that mighty city, for in 1 hour is thy judgment come. That's not going to be just America, brothers and sisters. That's going to be all over the world, wherever our people are scattered. The Most High is going to judge the nations. He says it throughout scriptures. He's going to judge the nations. He's going to punish the nations to where we are scattered to. So we have to prepare ourselves spiritually, physically, and mentally. We know what's coming. We know Zion. We see it all around us. And it's going to happen so fast. Now I want you to get a pen, because I'm going to give you some scriptures to go over. So get a pen if you got a notepad, if you don't have one already. And let's look at a few scriptures, because the Most High vengeance is coming, Zion. So let's look at Isaiah chapter 34, verses 1 through 2. And it says, come near, ye nations, to hear and hearken. And I'm asking you to write them down, because I'm not going to put the scriptures on the screen, so you'll probably have to stop the video. It says, ye people, let the earth hear, and all that is therein, the world, and all things that come forth of it. For the indignation of Elohim is upon all nations, and his fury upon all their armies. He hath utterly destroyed them. He hath delivered them to the slaughter. And that was Isaiah chapter 34 and verses 1 through 2. Let's look at Nahum. Nahum chapter 1 verses 3 and 4. It says, Elohim is slow to anger and great in power, and will not at all acquit the wicked. Elohim hath his way in the whirlwind and in the storm, and the clouds are the dust of his feet. He rebuketh the sea, and maketh it dry, and drieth up all the rivers. Bashan languisheth, and Carmel, and the flower of Lebanon languisheth. So the Most High is not playing. He's causing all of this to happen. But, man is blaming it on these man-made weather machines. Okay. Keep on thinking that. Let's go to Micah. Micah chapter 5 and verse 15. And it says, and I will execute vengeance in anger and in fury upon the heathen, such as they have not heard. Zion, we can go precept upon precept. I can show you line upon line. The Most High is not coming back for roses and kisses. He's not coming back handing out roses. He's coming back to kill, to destroy, and to deliver his people. That was Micah chapter 5, verse 15. Let's look at another one. Let's look at Revelation chapter 18 and 6. Reward her even as she reward you, and double unto her double according to her works, and the cup which she hath filled to her double. These nations have done some atrocious stuff, Zion, and stuff that we can't even imagine. And don't think that that's going to go unpunished. Don't think that they're going to just slide by unpunished. All right, let's go to Ezekiel chapter 30 and verse 3. And it says, for the day is near, even the day of Elohim is near, a cloudy day. It shall be the time of the heathens. Y'all hear that? And that was Ezekiel 30, verse 3. All right, let's get another one. Let's look at Luke 6:23. Luke 6:23. That's why I said, brothers and sisters, you want to get a pen, because I'm not going to be putting these scriptures on there. There's a reason why I'm doing this. I'm just telling you so you can write these down. Luke 6:23 says, rejoice ye in that day, and leap for joy. For behold, your reward is great in heaven. For in the like manner did their fathers unto the prophets. So, brothers and sisters, we got to hang in there. And like I said before, we got to practice thinking righteously. We got to pull our thoughts and focus on Yah and his word. That's where our thoughts got to be. And even if it requires some sacrifice, we got to stay up all night just to get rid of those crazy thoughts that we're having. Then by all means, we got to stay up all night. All right, so let's go to Matthew chapter 5 and verse 12. It says, rejoice and be exceedingly glad, for great is your reward in heaven. For so persecuted they the prophets which were before you. And, we know all the captivities we've been through, Zion. We know all the mess that we've been through. And we're still going through it. And we have to sit here and watch our brothers and sisters be shot down, be abused in every kind of way. We've been targets for everything from A to Z. But, like I said, don't think all the things that these heathens have done, these nations have done, are going to go unpunished. All right, let's go to Ezekiel. Ezekiel chapter 25 and verse 17. Ezekiel chapter 25 and verse 17. And it says, and I will execute great vengeance upon them with furious rebukes, and they shall know that I am Elohim when I shall lay my vengeance upon them. Boy, it's going to be a horrific sight. That was Ezekiel 25:17. And I'll repeat these scriptures too from the beginning to the end, so that way you can catch this. You won't miss anything. All right, let's go to Ezekiel chapter 25 and verse 14. And it says, and I will lay my vengeance upon Edom by the hand of my people Israel, and they shall do in Edom according to mine anger and according to my fury, and they shall know my vengeance, saith Elohim. And that was Ezekiel 25 and 14. I'm telling you, it's not going to be no joke. Let's go to Jeremiah. Jeremiah chapter 30 and verse 11. Jeremiah chapter 30 and verse 11. And I know it seems like I might be going a little fast, but always just pause the video if you need to pause the video to get the scriptures. It says, "For I am with thee, saith Elohim, to save thee, though I make a full end of all nations, whether I have scattered thee." I got to read that part again. "For I am with thee, saith Elohim, to save thee, though I make a full end of all nations, whether I have scattered thee, yet will I not make a full end of thee, but I will correct thee in measure, and will not leave thee altogether unpunished." What have we been going through, brothers and sisters? Our captivity. The Most High, because of the sins of our forefathers, we have been punished. We've had to live out the curses because our forefathers let us down. Okay, so that was Jeremiah chapter 30 and verse 11. All right, let's go to Ezekiel. Ezekiel chapter 7 and verse 25. It says, "Destruction cometh, and they shall seek peace, and there shall be none." There shall be none. I mean, that's serious. And you know, you got these people who are living in Jerusalem, these Khazars. They've lied, they stole, they deceived, and the Most High is getting ready to take them out. That was Ezekiel 7:25. All right, let's look at Zechariah 13:8. Zechariah 13:8. "And it shall come to pass that in all the land, saith Elohim, 2 parts therein shall be cut off and die, but the third shall be left therein." So the Most High is going to have a remnant of his people, but many of our people are going to be cut off, Zion. I mean, I didn't write this, and that's just the way it's going to be. You know, and just imagine, only 8 people saved in the flood out of what? It was probably maybe 4, but I don't know. You know, I'm pretty sure it had to be some billions on the earth back then, the population. I mean, the current population right now is just over 7 billion people. So just imagine, you know, I mean, that's a harshly small number. All right, so that was Zechariah 13:8. All right, let's go to Luke 21:26. It says, "Men's heart failing them for fear and for looking after those things which are coming on the earth, for the powers of heaven shall be shaken." What's going on with the heathens right now? They're fearing because they're losing their grip on society. They're losing their white privilege. You know, and whenever their way of life is threatened, especially when it comes to money, they're gonna go crazy. You know? And that was Luke 21:26. All right, let's get another one. Let's go to Zephaniah 1:14 through 16. And most of y'all should know this one already because I quote this one quite a bit. It says, "The great day of Elohim is near. It is near and hasteth greatly, even the voice of the day of Elohim. The mighty men shall cry there bitterly, that the day is a day of wrath, a day of trouble and distress, a day of wastedness and desolation, a day of darkness and gloominess, a day of clouds and of thick darkness, a day of the trumpet and alarm against the fenced cities and against the high towers." Who's it going to be a dark day for, brothers and sisters? It's going to be a dark day for the wicked. Now, for those of us who are awakened and we're consecrating ourselves in the Most High's word and his laws, we're gonna be aware. The Most High is going to protect his people. So that was Zephaniah 1:14 and 16. So let's look at Luke 17:26 through 29. Luke chapter 17:26 through 29. "And as it was in the days of Noah, so shall it also be in the days of the Son of Man. They did eat, they drank, they married wives, they were given into marriage until the day that Noah entered into the ark, and the flood came and destroyed them all. Likewise, also as it was in the days of Lot. They did eat, they drank, they bought, they sold, they planted, they builded. But the same day that Lot went out of Sodom, it rained fire and brimstone from heaven and destroyed them all. See, and that's what I'm talking about. Her plagues come in 1 hour. Things are going to speed up so fast, Zion, that it's going to make your head spin. And you're not going to be able to, we're not going to be able to keep up with it because things are going to be happening so fast, so rapidly. And I'm telling you, every year that goes by, it increases more and more. So just get ready, Zion, because we don't want to be caught when the Most High comes back as a thief in the night. And that was Luke chapter 17, verses 26 through 29. All right, let's go to Ezekiel 38:22. And it says, and I will plead against him with pestilence and with blood, and I will rain upon him and upon his bands and upon the many people that were with him, an overflowing rain and great hailstone, fire and brimstone. Now that's talking about them nukes. But when them nukes fall, it ain't going to be no joke. And that was Ezekiel 38:22. Let's go to Jeremiah 4:7. And most of you know this one. And the lion is come up from his thicket, and the destroyer of the Gentiles is on his way. He is gone forth from his place to make thy land desolate, and thy cities shall be laid waste without inhabitant. That was Jeremiah 4:7. So what's happening? The forces are getting themselves together. Well, the Most High is getting the forces together to battle. And well, this is going to be one desolate place when it happens, when that thing goes off. And it talks about that in 2 Ezra chapter 15 and 16 as well, too. And that was Jeremiah 4:7. Let's go to Obadiah 1:15. Many of you know this one very well, too. It says, for the day of Elohim is near upon all the heathen. As thou hast done, it shall be done unto thee. Thy reward shall return upon thine own head. Again, don't think that these heathens are going unpunished. And all this stuff that we've been through, our forefathers been through, they're going to get it. All right. Let's go to, let me repeat that. That was Obadiah 1:15. Let's go to Deuteronomy chapter 19 and verse 21. And it says, and your eyes shall not pity, but life shall go for life, eye for eye, tooth for tooth, hand for hand, and foot for foot. The Most High does not forget, brothers and sisters. He's going to fight for his people, and he's going to continue to fight for his people. And that was Deuteronomy 19:21. All right, let's go to 1 Peter 4:17. It says, for the time is come that judgment must begin at the house of YAHUAH, and if it first began at us, what shall the end be of them that obey not the Basora of YAHUAH? That's the word of YAHUAH. And judgment is going to start with us, and it's already happened. We're seeing it, Zion. I mean, we've been seeing it for a long time. Our people are constantly going through stuff, being killed and what have you. But we are, and judgment is starting at the house of Yah. And it's going to start with the leaders. And that's been going on right now as we speak. All right. And that was 1 Peter 4:17. Now let's look at another one. Let's go to Ezekiel. Ezekiel chapter 9, verses 4 through 6. Ezekiel chapter 9, verses 4 through 6. And YAHUAH said unto him, go through the midst of the city, through the midst of Yasharalem, and set a tab upon the foreheads of the men that sigh and that cry for all the abominations that be done in the midst thereof. And go to the others, he said in my hearing, go ye after him through the city, and smite, let not your eyes spare, neither have ye pity. Slay utterly old and young, both maids and little children, and women, but come not near any man upon whom the tab of the mark and began at my sanctuary. Then they began at the ancient men which were before the house. This is past and future. And a lot of these prophecies are past and future. And so the Most High is getting ready to clean house, brothers and sisters. He's getting ready to clean house. That's why we must get our house in order. All right. And I'm going to start right there. But you can take those scriptures, just use those, and you can even build off of that, And, there's so many. I mean, I could be here all day just quoting scriptures to you. There's so many, Zion. And this word is infinite, and this word is a light. It is our book. It belongs to us and no one else. So Zion, let's get ourselves together. Let's continue to push this truth out. Don't give up. Don't become weary. I'm telling you, if the Most High were to pull the veils from our eyes, we would see angels all over the place. I mean, this thing is getting ready to break, Zion. It is getting ready to break. And only if we can just see what the Most High would show us, if he were to reveal or unveil the veil, we would probably be so frightened and surprised to see what's really going on behind the scenes. But the Most High is preparing all this for his people. So we just got to remain steadfast, brothers and sisters. So with that being said, I leave you with Revelation 14:12. And I say, shalom and stay strong.